Rudy Ramchander, John and Rowena Behringer, and we would talk. Sometimes we talked the whole time, other times we hardly said a word. But it was a great time, and we'd walk over through down the 18th fairway at the golf course, and at the 17th green we'd cut over to McCanna Way and home. So that was 20 good years of walking. So let's say a few words. What Saturdays, he said, I want to sleep in, so I didn't go to his door till 7 o'clock. Now, how do you change your schedule for 35 minutes? But anyway, that's what we did, and we would go for breakfast. Now your turn.
Oh, that was my turn. Thank you very much, Bruce. Quite an honor for Jerry to ask us to say a few words about Jim as a friend, and so I brought my lawyer in case I say something wrong. But we've heard from our friend at Wapsamung, we've heard from Sean, we've heard from Rowena. Basically, he was a legend. They talk about everything that he's done for the community. No matter where you go, somebody talks about Dr. Jim Beveridge. But I got to digress real quick. He came here in 72, Bruce? 1972 or 71, and we just heard he was a hockey player. And we had quite a commercial league going over in Keewatin. And Bay City Hawks brought him in. And he was a pretty talented athlete, good hockey player. And somebody said, hey, we better slow this guy down a little bit, so let's hit him a little bit and see if he can take it. So I was pretty big in those days, and I had the task of going and hitting him. Hit him in the corner, and it was clean. He admitted later it was a clean hit. Put him on the ground, and he basically looked up, and I thought, oh God, we better do something. Didn't know who he was. Said, somebody call a doctor. One of the guys said he is a doctor, and not only that, he's a doctor in Keewatin, so that created a problem. So over the years, we had offices in the same building. He had a BMW, I had a BMW, we traded conversations. Now we come 20 years forward, and I had to go in and see him. He had an incredible memory, as you talked about, and wanted to know what my problem was, and then he put on a big rubber glove. And I said to him, Jim, I'm in here about my back, what's that for? He said, remember when you hit me in the Keewatin Arena 20 years ago? He said, I didn't get mad, I'm just going to get even. You're going to get a hit now. And from that day forward, we became friends. And then Bruce one day, right out here in the bay, Bruce called me. Bruce is the king of wooden boats and all the problems we have with his wooden boats. Bruce called and said, Jim's boat, we just towed it in. Would you mind going and taking a look at it? Well, that started it. We went over and looked. He had some bad gas because he wasn't running it. Got it going. Brought it back out in the bay. Afternoon, the phone rings. Can you come and get me? I'm over at this dock. So that went on for years. That was his love. He had other than his family and all his friends. He loved his boat, and he loved his Austin Healey, which we brought here right over. In the last few days, we've been driving it around, trying to get it organized to sell it. And people say, oh, that's Jim's car, isn't it? Yeah, it is Jim's car. And he sat on the street yesterday, and the brothers came in and said, hey, that's Jim's Healey. And they were right. So this boat became the first story. The boat was, we did everything to it. And it was running like a top. And if anybody wants to see a picture of him smiling, driving his boat, it was so damn embarrassing. We came out of the bay, we go around Coney Island, and he's honking the horn and he's waving, and Jim, it's embarrassing, what are you doing? He said, I know all these people out here. And he had smiled, and Jerry's got the video if anybody wanted to see it, we can show you. And is Magnus here by any chance, or is he, Magnus? Where he hit Magnus was about this high, and Jim was letting him drive the boat. Scared the heck out of me, but nevertheless, that was his love, and unfortunately, the last few years, we couldn't get him down to the boat. We couldn't get him down to the boat to get him out in it, but he really loved going out in it. That was his pride and joy. We got all those bugs sorted out. They continued on, but then he said, Don, you got to find me an Austin Healey. He said we had one in school, and my brothers, I think Sandy told me the three of us had Austin Healeys. So he was determined to find this Austin Healey. So after a long search, we found that. By the way, that boat came from California. And then Bruce told me he had trouble with customs trying to bring this trailer back across the border, and I think they told him because it was illegal he better destroy it. I just said to Bruce, do we have the trailer if we sell the boat? And we don't know if it exists or not. We'll find that out. But in any way, he brought this Healy. So the same thing, we got this Healy in Halifax, went to Montreal, we trained it to Winnipeg, and then he went to Winnipeg with no plates, no insurance, showed up at where they dropped the cars off and said, I come to get my Austin Healy. And the guy said, well, where's your plates? He said, I don't have any. So how are you going to get it home? He said, well, I didn't know how to bring plates. So the guy loaned him a set of plates. So he drove home with this guy's plates and took him back. But in any event, we got the Healy, and the good news is he just loved that thing. And the good news is that, and ironically, we sold it yesterday. So the good news is it's going to stay in Kenora. So whenever you see the car, here's Jim's Healy. So having said that, in closing, are you going back up here? Okay, Bruce is going back, sorry.
Thanks, Don. For those of you from out of town, Don used to be the mayor of Keewatin. Saturday breakfast. We would get together at the beginning, just the walkers, and then we were joined by a lot of people. And it was always enjoyable, and Doug Dufresne ended up being, well, I think he thought he was Jim's assistant, but really Doug was doing it in the end, organizing everything. And a bunch of us would meet, and it's nice to see Jack Spielman. He would join us. And we would eat initially at Mike's over by the Husky on the East Highway, and then Lakeside Inn. And when that shut down, Travel Lodge. But we'd play the number game to see who bought breakfast, 1 to 1,000, and you just hoped you didn't pick the number. So we had, I'm sure everyone here could come up and tell stories, and so I've just got about 20 points. I plan to spend only 2 or 3 minutes on each one. So just some quick thoughts. Rowena's and everybody else has mentioned a bunch of them, but they're worth repeating. Happy birthday on the bagpipes. I mean, it was something else. Photographic memory. Well, I mentioned that to him one time. I said, Jim, what do I know? But I'm positive you got a photographic memory. And he says, yeah, I do. Sometimes I feel like I'm running out of film, but I've been very fortunate. Of course, he was an excellent doctor, great passion, and huge long hours. How about the fly-in fishing trips? He loved playing bridge. He had 3 wooden boats. Two came with Lobstick Bay. Lobstick Bay Camp. I mean, memories of both before the road went in and after the road went in. It's Austin Healy. The sailboat was mentioned. The knitted socks had been mentioned. Birkenstock sandals were mentioned. His dogs had been mentioned. So basically, he would have his friends have work parties down at Lobstick. That was touched upon. I was down on a lot of those work parties, and there'd be maybe 10 friends down there, and we'd be working on fixing up the boathouse, plumbing underneath the main camp, working on the other camp. Always a project, and it was always strange. There'd be 10 friends, and all of a sudden you couldn't find Jim. He had disappeared. And he said, well, I was straightening out the camp, or I was making soup for everybody. But we got a lot accomplished. One occasion I just have to mention, there were 2 Scottish interns here, and he brought them down. Duncan McDonnell was on a weed eater with a saw blade on the end of it, cutting brush. And I had the chainsaw, and we were cleaning up what some of us know as the point. And these 2 poor interns, they hauled all the stuff into a burning pile. While they were heading home, I don't know what, let's just say that was a Friday, they were heading home midweek back to the next week to Scotland. They went home with 2 of the biggest cases of poison ivy you've ever seen. So, and then he used to golf years ago with Wayne Stevenson, goalie for Philadelphia Flyers. They were good friends. and they golfed regularly. Jim just had his influence. He went over to the marina, and when Wayne bought a new 24-foot expensive boat, Jim had them paint the name on the back, the Civ. So it seemed appropriate. He got away with it. So we all have stories. Jim certainly left his mark on so many of us. He made a difference. So thank you, Jim.
Just in closing, my godmother always used to say, never say goodbye, always say so long. Saying goodbye is just so cold and finite, but so long means we'll meet again. So I just simply like to say on behalf of everybody, so long, Jim.